Really?
Hello and welcome everyone to this very, very special dugout. And today is a very special day, Shane, when it comes to a T20 World Cup.
Yeah.
It's a T20 World Cup year because 15 years ago, one mistimed scoop shot
Give India the...
and India win against Pakistan in Johannesburg.
What a time that was, because
Yes.
I remember 2007 was a pretty,
Dismal year.
Yeah, because you got knocked out of the ODI World Cup early. There was all the negativity surrounding Greg Chappell and the subsequent fallout from that. Then a relatively young team goes to South
And an
Africa.
unknown MS Dhoni as captain.
Exactly. No one knew at that point that he would go on to become arguably India's greatest white ball captain. But that was the impact that he made in his very first tournament leading.
Yes, and the T20 World Cup did what other ODI World Cups could never do. Bring an India versus Pakistan final. And because of that, because of what happened in Johannesburg, the IPL was born.
And with the IPL came, more talent. But
Cricket changed.
Exactly. But it brought about something that we are going to be discussing today in some detail, let's say.
In
It brought
some
about
detail.
the rest and rotation policies
Of
that we
course.
see now employed by the board.
Look, we all know that it is very, very difficult for players to play all three formats.
Exactly, especially considering the fact that you'd be expecting a lot of these players to be playing, the IPL anyway. Then on top of that, you have a packed test calendar, packed ODIs, packed T20Is. It's not possible for all of these players to be all format players.
Absolutely.
With that caveat in mind, though, how much rotation is too much rotation?
Exactly. Look, because you have an ICC event every year now. So, which matches can you be rested? Which matches do you play? How much rest is needed? How much rest is not needed? It's a very, very fine line that you do. Of course, if it is injury, then you cannot help it, because a player, the amount of cricket and the amount of toil that all the players put through in the international circuit, it is huge.
Yeah, and it's not just the two things. I think one is injury, and the other is if a player is reaching a point where he's mentally impacted, so mental burnout or issues related to mental health regarding anything else. I think these are two places where you can't really be questioning a lot. That being said, I think we've all been talking about the fact that India have done a fair share of resting.
Fair share. Remember what we were saying prior to this T20 World Cup build-up. Remember, we just have 4 games now remaining. 1-1 heading into the decider on Sunday at Hyderabad. Bilateral series wins are important, but we have been stressing on 2 things. Is rotation necessary? And how much have India played with their core? Remarkably,
India really haven't played much with their core.
Yesterday was the first time that we probably played with our full core from the 2021 World T20 onwards.
Yeah.
So now, today this is the topic that we are going to discuss. How many players have played a bulk of the games for India from November 2021 onwards?
Which is, of course, the time when the last World Cup came to an end and you started the planning for this World Cup. Although it is worth noting, I don't think yesterday also saw that, because I don't think you'd be playing with the extra batsman as you did yesterday. You had Pant in place of Chahal, and I don't think that he's going to be, guaranteed to start. No.
Yeah, so anyway, see, let us not read too much into that match, because unfortunately it was a rain truncated match.
Rain truncated,
8
with
overs.
very different conditions. You had both teams actually try out a lot of new things in that way.
Yep.
So you can't read too much into that result.
So, what are we going to do in this particular dugout is that we are going to explain you some numbers about India's rotation. How many players have played, how many games from November 2021 till September 2022. The list is very surprising, folks. And a certain individual who is like in the crossfires now because of his poor form.
Unfortunately, and has actually played the most number of games during that time period.
So, now what we are going to do in this is the number of games since November 15th, 2021. That was the last T20 World Cup which ended, and then from that point we are going to dissect all the games that are there. Remarkably, from that period when the T20 World Cup ended and until September 2022, only one Indian player has played over 75% of the games. And who's that guy?
Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar has featured in 26 out of the 30 games from that period onwards. And no one in the squad, in the entire Indian cricket team from November 2021 to September 2022 have played 90% of the games. 90% meaning 27 or more games. No one in the Indian cricket team has done it. In fact, India are the only team to have players not playing 90% of the games in that 1 year period.
In fact, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's quite a few players who played like from these 30 games, played about half the games there, and now suddenly don't find themselves in the reckoning for, a place in the squad also.
Absolutely. So that is how we have to look at it. There are so many players in the Indian cricket team who have been rotated, rested, either due to burnout, either due to injury,
or just not in the scheme of things right now,
or team composition issues. So that is why only one player, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, has played 26 out of the 30 games. But it is not as if only India are doing this rotation.
Yeah, correct.
Sky, Surya Kumar Yadav, Rohit Sharma, Rishabh Pant and Bhuvi are the only players who have played over 20 games out of 30 in this entire period. You would say Rohit Sharma. Yes, Rohit Sharma has also played a fair number of T20Is.
Yeah, but he's also taken a few rests in between too.
Yes.
He had a couple, I think one was an injury layoff, then there was series where he was rested.
Yeah.
So there was, and in fact for me, I think the most shocking thing is the second point here is that only just once in these 30 games have India played with an unchanged side. That means that even if you leave aside injury rotations, there have been a lot of team combination chopping and changing that has taken place, and that is not going to be helping anyone in the long run.
Absolutely. Okay, trivia question. In which series in this particular period from November 2021 to September 2022 did India field an unchanged side for the entire series? You can tell it in this in the comment section, folks, that which was it, Shane? When was this?
I don't know if I remember it correctly, but I think they played unchanged teams in the South Africa series.
June 2022.
That was right after the IPL, correct.
June 2022. That was the only time in this cycle where India played with their entire squad unchanged. Remember, KL Rahul was supposed to lead the team, but he suffered a sports hernia.
Yeah, I remember. That was a tournament where I think two players ended up kind of losing out a lot of game time. One was KL, the other was, of course,
Kuldeep Yadav. And that is why Kuldeep Yadav is not even in the pecking. Yes, Aman Gupta, Priyanshu, yes, it was India versus South Africa, the 5-match T20I series which happened in June, right
and
after
was
the
actually
IPL.
Technically only a 4-match series.
Yeah, the final game was washed off. So that was the thing. So Sky, Surya Kumar Yadav, Rohit, Pant and Bhuvi are the only other players who played 20 matches or more. Whereas India played with an unchanged side for just the South Africa series.
And even there, mind you, I think it was only the first and second game. Because I think after that they made some changes where, if I remember correctly, I think Bishnoi played one game and someone or the other was coming in. So there were changes made. It's not like there were no changes. But I remember for the first two games, they played with an exactly unchanged lineup. Because I think they were both close by also. So I don't remember, we play a lot of games. But that was the only time where you didn't see, one change or two changes being made at all.
So that is the thing. Now if you look at primarily, the rotation policy has been applied to our bowlers most often. If you look at this list that is there, 3 out of the 4 who have played over 20 are batters.
Correct. Only
Bhuvi is the only bowler.
And that was also because he had been coming back from injury layoffs, and you needed to actually keep him match fit and keep him in rhythm. That was one reason why he was playing consistently.
And he got prolonged chances because Jasprit Bumrah also
was rested. Remember, at one point Harshal wasn't part of the squad.
Harshal wasn't there.
So there was a lot of chopping and changing, and because of that, Bhuvi was your de facto senior bowler.
Absolutely. So Bhuvi was the leader of the attack, and that is why this situation arose. Now, if you look at bowlers who have played more than 10 T20Is, the list is actually less. The rotation policy and the rest policy that has been followed by the Indian cricket team management, it's all for the bowlers. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, as I said, 26 out of 30 games he's played. Yajuvendra Chahal, on the other hand, He's also not in the best of form at this point in time. Had a pretty mixed Asia Cup. He also had a pretty okayish matches against Australia, although he got carted out.
It is worth pointing out that you remember before West Indies, where you'd remember he was rested. Since he's been the same bowler, before that, he was actually he was key to Rajasthan's run to the final, and he was very, very good in the white ball series before that, which again begs the question, what is the need to rest him?
Exactly. After that IPL, which was there, after the IPL performances where he took a 5-wicket haul, almost bowled brilliantly in the death every single time, his form is tapered off, especially in the series in the Asia Cup and in the Australia matches.
And also you're talking about the bowlers. So he played 18 out of the 30 matches, which means 12 matches he missed, out of which 10 of those matches Ravi Bishnoi would have been his direct replacement.
Yes.
But look at the funny thing. He played 10 matches here. 10 matches are now no longer in the reckoning for a place. He's there as a reserve.
As I said, Rohit Sharma had said, very, very unlucky Ravi Bishnoi was. He was very close to selection, but they chose Ashwin's skills over Bishnoi.
And look at this, in the top 10 bowlers here, Ashwin doesn't feature.
Well, see, Chahal with 18, Avesh and Akshar have played exactly half that amount.
And in fact, I think neither of them, Avesh, towards the later parts of these matches, you knew he wasn't in the reckoning, particularly by the time it was the Asia Cup rolling around. Akshar was also meant to be out of the reckoning, came back in because of an unfortunate injury
to Ravindra Jadeja.
Exactly.
So now Ravindra Jadeja's replacement, if you have to look at it like for like, when it comes to bowling, it is Akshar. Fielding and batting, still Jadeja has that edge. But Akshar so far has ensured that we don't have to suffer Jadeja's absence for a long time. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the two matches against Australia, he's been your pick bowler.
I mean, 5 wickets at an economy rate of 5. Exactly. And what does he do? Bowl straight.
Bowl straight on the stumps. Yeah. Nothing, no complications. Nothing.
Exactly. You're talking about Ashwin. Okay, Bishnoi has played 10. Arshdeep 11. Considering that Arshdeep got his chances in the England series. He played his first game.
Was limited. I think he
only
got
one game.
Yes, he got more chances in West Indies and then later in the
Asia Cup. Yes. So that is why Asia Cup, West Indies, England, to a certain extent, he got a fair run with it, but let's see. For him, it's not 30 games for Arshdeep because he just came into the cycle.
He came in later on. He wasn't part of the. He was part of the squad, but didn't get a look in at all against South Africa and whatnot.
If you don't consider the sample size of 30, if you consider 15 even for Arshdeep, he's played a significant amount of it. I mean, it's about close to 80% even there also. 11 out of 15.
It's not bad at all.
It's not bad at all.
Numbers.
But look at this list. Especially number 2. Ravichandran Ashwin. 7 matches in this entire period. And if there was a term used in one of our shows a couple of days back, paratrooping. Umesh Yadav was not a paratrooper in this Australia series.
Ashwin definitely is.
Ashwin was a paratrooper not during the Australia series or the Asia
West
Indies series. From November till June.
He hadn't played a single T20.
T20, okay. On top of that, he did play a couple of T20s, but he was not considered in the reckoning. From November to June, you had not considered Ashwin to be part of the scheme of things.
Yeah, he wasn't.
So we all thought, okay, maybe they have found a replacement. Yajvendra Chahal, Ravindra Jadeja, Akshar Patel, Ravi Bishnoi, maybe that is your thing. Suddenly, West Indies squad announcement.
Ashwin in the squad.
Ravichandran Ashwin, what?
Where'd that come from?
Where the hell, and remember, even in the Asia Cup, in the game against Pakistan, or even against Sri Lanka,
Pakistan against wasn't there.
He wasn't there, but Deepak Hooda, an off spinner,
wasn't given a
ball. Did not even bowl. We are wondering what is happening. Jadeja's unfortunate injury opened up a lot of doors. 3 spots automatically opened up. Ashwin at number 7 with just 7 games
and
in
actually,
this entire period.
There is an explanation for pretty much everyone else on the list as to why they played so few games. Jadeja, remember, he was dealing with an injury which ruled him out of the second half of the IPL and a significant number of international games. He didn't play in South Africa. I think he made his comeback in England, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. So after that, he was playing and was pretty much slated to be a part of the team.
He did play, I think, the Sri Lanka series, I guess, before the IPL.
No. I'm saying I'm talking about after the IPL.
After the IPL.
After the IPL, he got ruled out of the second half of the IPL pretty much. Then didn't play much internationals. Bumrah also has dealt with both injuries and being rested and rotated, so only 3
Bumrah,
matches.
let us just tell you, I mean, man oh man, we need to really wrap him up in cotton wool. Because look, that back injury took a considerable chunk of time from him. Because this is the same back injury, but less impactful than the previous one in 2019.
Yeah.
Now, in the game against Australia in Nagpur, he showed that he was still in rhythm and bowling those Yorkers. That's the one good thing which you can judge from this. So, Bumrah, let us not consider him in the
I'm
equation.
not being unfortunate with him. There was a pretty good reason. Umran got 3 games, was assessed, and then said no, he needs seasoning. Kuldeep could have had more games, but again, injuries came at the worst time. Siraj, unfortunately, was only used as a backup because I think his IPL form had kind of ruled him out of
and in the West Indies series also
he didn't really set the
stage on fire. And there was Shardul also, and there's also Umesh Yadav.
Yeah, who's played one game.
One game apiece. So
they're not on this list because they only played 1 game each.
Yeah, so that is the problem which we have. So bowlers, be it spinners or be it pacers,
they've been rotated.
Rotated like anything from November to September. And remember, only Bhuvaneshwar with 26 stands tall. Otherwise, Bumrah with just 3. And because he just played 3 games, the likes of Avesh, the likes of Arshdeep, the likes of Umran, Siraj, all of them got chances, along with Shardul and Umesh Yadav. With Bhuvi only been the constant. Even the spinners, Bishnoi with 10. Actually, Bishnoi and Aksar have bowled more than Jadeja, Ashwin, which actually should show where the priority and where the future planning should be when it comes to the Indian cricket team. Jadeja, well, yes, that injury will ensure that he comes back later.
Much later than anticipated.
Yeah, so that is the thing. So now, after we have assessed the core of the players, who has played how much, we are going to turn our attention to the World Cup players.
Yeah, these are players who have been, of course, named in the squad and are a certainty to be going in that,
Now, if you have to judge according to the 15, we are not naming the players who are on standby, okay? Just the core of 15, who all have played more than 15 games, or at least half of the games from November till this period.
You have 9 players out of 15.
Which is actually dispelling that notion that India were doing too much of rotation in a way.
Because there's quite a few constants. Because 9 out of the 15 means that's 60% of your squad were actually playing a significant number of games.
Yes. Bhuvi with 26, as I said, Sky. Suryakumar Yadav played about 21 out of the 30 games.
Same as Rohit.
Same with Rohit. Pant, we all thought, why is Pant playing so many matches? But actually, look at it, he's played 20 out of 30 games from November onwards.
And also it's worth noting that of all of these 9 players, not all 9 are guaranteed starters at this point.
Yep.
Bhuvi, yes, I think so. Even if you have to retool his role a tad. Sky, yes. Rohit, yes. Pant, definitely not starting. For me, it's been DK, and I think his recent performances are kind of solidifying his spot even more. Even Harshal, for me, is not a guaranteed starter.
He's not a guaranteed
starter. I would be playing Arshdeep ahead of him. Yuzi Chahal, unfortunately, will be a guaranteed starter because you maybe could have had a Bishnoi come in place of him, give him a bit of a break, but now you have Ashwin, who I think is only going to be there as a backup option when you're up against a team with too many
left-handers.
Hardik and Akshar both guaranteed because again these are your 2 main all-rounders.
And to give depth to your batting and depth to your bowling, you need
6, and that's why you needed your 6th bowling option.
Yes. But the main competition here will be between Pant and DK.
I don't think it's going to be much competition. I think DK is the nail.
Because look, you played both DK and Pant at the expense of whom? Yeah, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar went out.
But because they knew they didn't need an extra bowling option with the
They had to, yeah.
You needed more batting them because you had to be going bang bang. But the key part was, when it came down to it, Pant hasn't played a ball in this particular series.
Yep.
You could have said, okay, let's send Pant there. It's a tailor-made situation for him. He doesn't really need to worry about preserving his wicket. He can swing the bat. You said DK ahead of him.
Yep.
You said DK ahead of him.
2 balls.
Two
a
balls
6 and a
finished.
4.
To be fair, Australia called it upon themselves. I'm sorry, if Daniel Sams is bowling your last over, you need to be asking yourself.
No, but then look, Daniel Sams defended 9 runs of 6 balls in that game against Gujarat.
Yeah,
Titans.
that was one match where he bowled well and did that. Otherwise,
And what was
left, right, and
what
center.
was the difference in that? He bowled full and straight. He didn't try the cutters.
Here he bowled 2 cutters and got hit both times.
I mean, even Dinesh Karthik told him, no, it would be insulting to call Sams a left-arm spinner because he was bowling cutters, slow cutters. That slow cutters works in Australia where there's a bit more bounce.
And
in India,
longer
it
boundaries.
doesn't.
Longer boundaries.
Yep.
Here, the batsmen were waiting, and to be fair, you had a warning of that in the first innings when Wade was waiting for every single one of Harshal's balls.
Yes.
Harshal was bowling a slow one, Wade is waiting, out of the park.
Yep. So 9 out of the 15.
I've played more than 15 matches.
Yes.
And mind you, actually considering the fact that Akshar wasn't even expected to be in the scheme of things, the fact that he's managed to rack up these many matches is nothing short of impressive. Of course, partly down to the fact that Jadeja was injured, but the team management did show faith in him.
Yep.
Because he was the de facto number 1 choice when Jadeja wasn't around.
Yep. So 26, 21, 21, 20. So
19.
only, as I said, 4 players have played over 20. So if you reduce that sample size, okay, we want to see about 60% or 70%, then only 4 players have
And
played
to be
it.
fair, you're seeing quite a few teams. I mean, yeah, if you look at the series going on right now between England and Pakistan, England themselves are playing with a significantly depleted side.
Yes.
You look at that middle
Only
order.
Moeen Ali has played most of it. But they have players who played about 90% of the core.
True. They're just not playing this particular series.
But remember, in this entire 1 year period, barring Ireland, most of the teams have
actually
used
done rotation.
many players and there is no fixed core. No team in this particular edition of the T20 World Cup for the past 1 year have settled in on a core, barring Australia.
Yeah, and to an extent, I would say maybe Pakistan, but even there, a lot of their changes have been forced by factors beyond their control.
Yeah.
So you look at England now, you look at the lower order or the middle order they have, you only see maybe David Malan as that one experienced person. The lower order, of course, you have Moeen and Sam Curran who would probably be starting, but otherwise the likes of Duckett, Harry Brook, they're not exactly nailed on starters this one, and both of them played very well yesterday.
I mean, Harry Brook, for example, many people are saying that he should be a
he
designated
should.
finisher.
He should. He was hitting 80 runs at a strike rate of over 200. That is madness.
That is madness. And remember, there is one more bowler who's impressed for them in this series against Pakistan, Luke Wood.
Exactly.
But he's not there in the T20 World Cup squad.
Yeah,
and
and Luke Wood, in fact, yesterday made way for Mark Wood.
Yeah, and Mark Wood, what rockets!
Mark Wood looks like the Mark Wood of old. The way
97 miles
97 miles per hour. He's bowling those quick ones, bouncers.
And in Australia, he was a handful in the
man,
2021
yeah.
Ashes. He was a big handful. So that's why better watch out for them. But then India now, let us look at the players who have played less than 15 games. And it primarily is batters.
Yeah, I mean, see, Huda you kind of understand because he was pretty much a rotation option and is going to be a rotation option even in the World Cup.
Yep.
He's not a guaranteed starter by any stretch of the imagination.
Arshdeep,
I think I would start him.
Yep.
Whether or not he will be, we don't really know for sure. Virat obviously has been, there's been rotation there.
Yep.
Rahul unfortunately picked up injuries.
Yep.
Ashwin was our paratrooper, whatever you want to call it.
Bumrah with just 3, because remember, Bumrah was rested after the test series against South Africa, played the entire IPL, did not play the home series against South Africa.
Came back to England and then missed the Asia Cup.
Missed the Asia Cup, didn't play West Indies, missed the Asia Cup. So Bumrah, in a nutshell, has just managed to play the series against England, which was deemed very, very important.
Obviously.
And also the series now against Australia. He missed one game in England.
Yeah, but and one game here was also because they wanted him to get back into probably more
Proper
rhythm.
match fitness.
Exactly.
So Bumrah with 3, Ashwin with 7, Arshdeep with 11 out of 15, I will just say. So that is why. But Virat. Now remember, Virat Kohli is a very interesting case. He missed the South Africa series because immediately after the IPL he wanted a break.
And he was back only for the England tests.
And the T20Is and the ODIs. He missed one T20I though against them. Then
He didn't play all the ODIs either. If I
he
recall
did
correctly.
play all 3 ODIs.
Okay, maybe that's.
He didn't get to bat in one of the ODIs because Rohit and Dhawan had a 10-wicket victory. So, Lords he failed. He failed even in I think it was Old Trafford, Manchester.
Nothing, sir. Yeah.
And so Kohli, that break before the Asia Cup, we are seeing a totally new facet of Virat Kohli in this.
Yeah, so that break actually came at a very interesting time because he seems a lot less inhibited, a lot more relaxed when he's batting.
So with Kohli's case, let's just throw it open. Does rotation help a player? That's what we were debating also in the lead up to the World Cup. Does constant rotation help a player?
I think
It seems to have helped in the case of Virat.
I think it would if you're a player who's very established, very set in your game, and you're not playing with, as you say, with Virat. I used to keep saying it in previous discussions also, like when he was having that poor IPL run. I said I don't think it's anything technical. What you're seeing is burnout. It's a player who's bogged down by expectations and bogged down by poor form. That is struggling, and that is why you're seeing all of his worst tendencies come back to light. The fiddling outside off stump, not able to navigate the most basic of spinners. All those worst tendencies were coming back because he was under mental stress. Since he's been refreshed, he's actually looked better. Although, to be fair, Zampa got him yesterday also. But
but again, I will just say this: 8 over. You are going for the kill anyways. You're going for aggression. So
I don't really mind how he got.
Maybe that Mohali dismissal was frustrating.
Yeah, because
2 of 7.
Yeah, because there he was clearly inhibited against Zampa. Remember when as soon as he came on to bat, they brought on Zampa, and in that over, I think only 1 or 2 runs he got.
Yeah,
and then after that,
and then Nathan Ellis got his wicket. So that is why. I will just say one thing about Virat. The break has helped Virat, but why I said this? In the case of Hardik,
it didn't
seems
help
to have not helped. Seems to have not. Why? Because in the Asia Cup, in the game against Hong Kong, he was rested. What happened after that? He struggled. He showed his class in the game against Australia and Mohali. But his bowling somehow seems to have tapered off.
It's off. And that's the thing. With Hardik, he's very much a rhythm player.
Yep.
Especially when it comes to his bowling. Because remember, in the IPL, he was bowling pretty regularly and he was consistently clocking speeds in excess of 140, getting some decent late outswing. All of that was happening. That rest actually, why it helped Kohli was because he was clearly inhibited. He needed that break to reset. Hardik was in flying form. Didn't need the rest. Maybe his body needed rest to an extent. But I think he was fine playing on till the World Cup.
That's the problem.
So I think it's definitely on a case-by-case basis where you have
case-by-case basis. So look, if you have to look at the broader picture as to how many players were rested and rotated, the first glaring number that will be there is that only one player has played more than 75% of the games.
Also, I think India tried out how many? 28?
29 players were tried in 30 matches. So essentially, one change or one rotation was per match.
Oh, that's a lot of change.
Lots of changes. But every other team is doing it. But India seem to be doing it the most. They don't seem to be playing with their core more often.
Especially considering the number of matches they played. I mean, 30 matches is I think the most from any of the teams who are in the World Cup.
Yes, it's the most.
Exactly. And I think the second most is what? Ireland with 22 or something?
I think it is England. England with 27.
Yeah. Right.
England with 27. So that is why, look at it in this way. One Indian player has played 75 and it has been a bowler, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar.
And to be fair with bowlers, you don't want to rest them a lot if they are, in good rhythm because you don't want to disrupt that rhythm.
A lot of our family members are asking about Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. We'll come to that soon. But the broader picture is 9 out of the 15 players who are there in the World Cup squad have played about 60% of the games. 60%. 50% at least they have played.
Right.
So that means the core is playing but not consistently together.
Correct.
Okay. But do you think that rotation and rest is needed? As Shane said, case by case, it needs to be evaluated. It works in the case of Virat Kohli. Probably it doesn't. Probably. I'll just give that 1% leeway. 99% it works for Hardik. Maybe that 1% sometimes it doesn't work. It didn't work in the Asia Cup. Came back a bit in the Mohali game, but he again kind of struggled in Nagpur.
Absolutely.
So That is the entire debate. Rest and rotation is happening all across the board with every team heading into T20 World Cup.
Correct.
The only difference is India are doing a lot more. And whether, if I have to sum it up, does this help in the long run? If India wins the T20 World Cup in 2022,
then no one's raising an eyelid.
If it does not, then that can be done for another day. Whether this excess rotation helps or it does not help. So that is our assessment about it when it comes to the number of rotations. Some very surprising numbers. Bhuvaneshwar has played the most. So that is why it's very interesting. Your batters have played some. Bumrah, Kohli haven't played a lot.
But one thing you can say for sure about the rotation is that when you look at India playing now, sometimes it does look like they're a side who hasn't played together enough.
Yep.
I mean, I think the time for playing with your core came a lot sooner than this Australia series. So now that they missed that boat where you had the chance of maybe saying, yeah, okay, now we can miss out on a couple of games, have our players look a little rusty, but we don't want our players looking rusty then. For me, that moment was just before the Asia Cup.
Yeah.
Because you wanted your core firing. If it was, very different story in the Asia Cup.
They could have played with the core, but Bumrah's injury
That did also
threw everything on. That's the problem. See, Rahul came back. The pieces are falling into the jigsaw puzzle very nicely. Rahul came back just before the Asia Cup.
Zimbabwe
Rohit, just before the Asia Cup, Zimbabwe, he played 3 ODIs, looked rusty, but he played. He got game time. Hardik started brilliantly in England. He was already a IPL winning captain. Gujarat Titans did supremely well against South Africa and England. So he's established now. Surya, we know his class.
And to be fair, remember, he too was coming off a bit of an injury thing because remember, he missed the second half of the series of the IPL season
also.
For MI, but I think he was having some,
a finger injury. Yes.
So because of that also, I think he also needed some time to get reacclimatized too.
Absolutely. In the case of Virat, maybe that questions have been answered, maybe.
Yeah,
but again, 2 words of caution I would like to tell to every Indian cricket fan. Kohli's century came against a demoralized Afghanistan side when there was nothing
demoralized
at stake.
And
fatigued, demoralized, and that too when there was nothing at stake. Makes a big difference. Second, Kohli's dismissal in Nagpur. Let us not read too much into it. It is just a very small blip. 8 overs, you cannot judge any team based on it.
Exactly. I think even this Australians, they lost 3 batsmen cheap, but they were going through it every ball, which you're going to do if you only have 48 balls to play.
Exactly. So let us take some questions now. Rishikesh MS is saying, when will the T20 World Cup squad of India fly to Australia? There are news that Dravid has to organize more practice matches. If that's true, will they play against Australian domestic sides? Well, we don't know.
We don't know. I think this has been.
But there are reports.
It's a rumor that's been flying around. I'm not sure how true it is.
See, they are leaving on the 6th.
They're leaving after this particular series, or the
South Africa series.
Yeah.
They are the core of the Indian cricket team is leaving on the 15-man squad is leaving on October 6th. Then they will acclimatize in Australia. Whether they will play one more warm-up against the state team remains to be seen.
But I don't see it.
So far, no official confirmation is there.
And let's not go by anything else beyond that.
October 17th and October 19th are your 2 warm-up games against Australia and New Zealand at the Gabba. And then it's 23rd October. Sharan Vinakota, yet again, India asked for more warm-up practice matches. It's not yet confirmed. Maybe it's not true.
Sridhar Deshpande asks, have other teams played these very matches? No, India have played the most. But as we said, England have played about 27.
Australia have played about 25.
Ireland have played 22, which is 22. A very surprising number if you look at it.
Because most of the established nations play only T20As or ODIs against these associate nations.
Exactly.
So that is why Zimbabwe, the likes of Zimbabwe, Afghanistan, Ireland,
they generally tend to play among themselves a lot.
Absolutely. West Indies also. But India have played 30 matches, which is the most, and they have rotated 29 players, which is a huge number. And no one has played over 75% of the games.
GGK
only
asked
one.
An interesting question. He says that has Shami recovered from COVID and can he play against South Africa? See, we don't really have a confirmation as to when he's recovered or anything yet. But I think if he does recover soon, he would probably be in line
to play.
He should. Fingers crossed. Aman Gupta asks, will the standbys travel to Australia along with the main squad? There's no surety
There
of
is.
that.
It's like this. If you were participating in the ICC bio bubble,
Yeah,
if it was a bio bubble thing, then
matter.
perhaps
Yeah.
the standby players will go with the main squad. But since you're not playing in a bio bubble environment,
Yeah, I don't think they would need to travel in that
I
case.
think they are not.
Yeah.
They
But
are
they've
not.
been named as standbys just in case of an injury. They can be flown in pretty quickly now.
In
Doesn't
a
really
day or
matter.
two, yes.
Exactly. Previously, you had to,
Yeah.
you had quarantines and this and that. So obviously, the players traveled and they stayed within the bubble.
But will that stop the team from taking them along? No,
Probably
they
not.
can get them.
Of course.
So that you don't have to worry about arranging. Because what happened in the case of Akshar Patel? Remember when Jadeja was injured? Akshar missed one game
Yeah,
because he had to be flown in and then he just came before the match.
correct.
So that is why, in order to avoid that, maybe they'll pick their standby players and then just take them along. Do you think Hardik, is he trying to protect himself after Jadeja's injury? Rishikesh?
No, I think unfortunately he's come up against, for one, bowling pitches which haven't really offered a lot of assistance. I mean, yeah, we were pointing out about Hardik, but it's also worth noting that really none of our pacers have fired against Australia yet. Our best bowler has been Akshar Patel. So, I think they've also come up against conditions that haven't really been suited to their strengths. Hardik in particular, he's unfortunately also come up at a time when, as I said, the Mohali pitch was an absolute belter.
Total.
Absolute belter.
Yeah.
Let's not make any excuses. Even the Aussie bowlers went for runs.
Yep.
There. So I think I don't think it's about that. I think it's, we need to see him in better conditions.
Look, I think Hardik is trying, and in that, forget that Nagpur game, even in the game against Australia, he was brilliant with the bat.
Yeah.
With the ball, see, it's give and take. You're not going to expect Hardik Pandya to bowl full 4 overs in the T20 World Cup.
Only if, he's having a particularly inspired day, do you have a chance of seeing him bowl also.
Like how he had in the game against Pakistan, the league game.
Correct.
Bouncers, lethal bouncers, and he was bowling short and close to 90 miles per hour. Close to it. So that is why Hardik is probably ensuring he puts in the right intensity in the right game at the right moment. So GGK is like asking us, Bhuvi is still best at death after Bumrah. Just few bad matches doesn't change that. Will Rohit panic and drop him again for third match?
First of all, I don't think he was dropped in the last match. That's a bit of a harsh thing. I think they needed to sacrifice one bowler, and it was always going to be one of the mainstream bowlers because you wanted to shore up your batting.
Yep.
I think Bhuvi was unfortunate that he got the short end of that. But again, his strengths are best played out in a full 20 over match.
Yeah.
Get swing, this, that. Here, bowlers were going to go for it, so they didn't really need to worry about who was bowling at the death. So I don't think it's an indictment of his form. I think he'll be back playing the next match.
See, it is simple, GGK. What we have always been saying here is that bowl Bhuvaneshwar Kumar totally out in the power play.
See, the problem is Bhuvi till recent times was actually bowling pretty well in the death. It's just, I think his blip has come at the worst time possible.
Yep.
Because he was bowling pretty immensely in the death during the IPL and subsequent matches, because there were a lot of matches where Bumrah wasn't playing.
Yep.
So he was bowling in the death there as well, and he did an okay job. Unfortunately, I think he's had this run at the worst time. It's what you call a decline at the worst time.
Worst time, yep.
Peaking at the right time or declining at the wrong time. This is a strong case of the latter.
Yeah.
He's just had that bad run of matches in 3 straight matches where you had to bowl in the 19th over and give away plenty of runs. Agreed. I don't think that he is a bad bowler in that sense at all. I don't think so.
Absolutely. So I think, see, Bhuvaneshwar, if you have to utilize him well, bowl him in the power play. You got Arshdeep and Bumrah. 16th and 20th is sorted.
Technically, even if you don't have Bumrah, then Harshal is supposedly a death over specialist, but recently he's been getting hit a bit.
Looking at Harshal's woes, I think it's better you don't pick him up at this point in time, bowling in the death. Now, Aman Gupta is asking, given a choice, who will you pick to bowl at the death with Bumrah? Harshal or Arshdeep? My vote goes to Arshdeep.
Absolutely. Because if you look at the matches, both the matches in the Asia Cup, we had to bowl at the death. Pakistan, yes, he had 2 loose deliveries, but against Sri Lanka, not one of those deliveries was loose.
Yep.
Because he only gave away singles and one double for the most part, and that too was also because
Rishabh Pant had
shied at the stumps and there was no backup there. So, what's his name? Arshdeep didn't bowl badly at all in that match.
Yeah.
Not in the least. He was hitting his lines and lengths perfectly. So I would take him in that.
So GGK, we hope that the blip does not come in the death overs for Arshdeep.
Please God, no.
Because if that happens, then India, I don't think have a plan B. I don't think India have a plan B. They are hoping that their plan A comes out 9 out of 10 times. They just don't want that one instance.
And that is of course that you have Bumrah.
Well, GGK, it happened in the series, in the game against Hong Kong. Arshdeep went for runs. And many people, panders, were saying, why did you include Arshdeep as one of the fine death bowlers when Haris Rauf did a great job in that Asia Cup squad? Look, Arshdeep, in those 2 games that he had, he at least took it to the last ball. At least, kind of.
Sports fan asked that what is the combination for the next match? Only 5 bowlers or 5+1? No, they'll go back to a 5+1.
Yeah.
Because this match there was a bit of an exception because of course you were only bowling 8 overs. So I think they'll revert back to their normal combination. And to be fair, in T20 eyes, you need multiple bowling options.
Yep.
You can't go in with just 5 pure bowlers. It's just not a good.
Absolutely. So at Uppal, after 3 years, they'll be hosting an international game there. And the weather there is actually not that promising, but is much better than Nagpur.
Correct.
Very, very sporadic spells of rain, but I don't think it will impact the match, provided the groundsmen have covered the ground brilliantly for once. For once, we are hoping that the BCCI ground staff does its job. And so that's the thing which I will say. Sridhar Deshpande is saying, have you seen DK mostly missing to appeal for catches or misjudging? See, if you are going by that Rohit Sharma video, I think it's just banter.
And to be fair, but actually, if you look at it, it's not just that. I mean, even in that same match, Umesh's first wicket, he missed it entirely. Even recently, there have been some times. I don't see it as cause for concern, honestly.
Yep.
I don't, but you are right in the sense that there have been a few glaring misses.
There have, yes, Sridhar.
But if you have to be fair, that UZ Chahal won. Literally no one appealed for. Not just this thing, even Chahal himself didn't seem confident.
Yep.
And it was clear as day that it was plum, or at least very least umpire's call.
Yep.
Could have gone for the review, but anyway.
Another question from GGK, is it the end of Pant?
It's definitely not the end of Pant.
It was more. Aksar and DK doing well again.
No, he's there in the squad, but I don't see him as a starter.
Automatic starter,
We've been saying that for a while.
Yep. So Austin Dikuna saying, as Hardik and Bhuvi are resting for SA series, I think India should play Pant and Arshdeep. Okay. In their place playing with 5, this will be one final face-off in DK/Pant, Harshal and Arshdeep.
I don't see that happening. I think the 11 is pretty set in stone at this point.
Yep.
But I don't think it's the worst suggestion in the world.
Okay, I'm not going to go for that sports fair. I think there are a lot of reports coming up that it's not ready for the match. And
we'll only know that once we get
to know.
But I think we're all excited for tomorrow because series on the line.
Series on the line, thankfully, because India were potentially...
They managed to win the shootout potentially.
Yeah. They were saying 48. Let's look at the new format, the 48.
The 48?
The 48. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be there, of course, to preview the match. We'll bring this edition of the live dugout to an end. But thank you all so much for joining us as always. Fingers crossed, no rain tomorrow. We don't want another truncated match, and more importantly, hours and hours of waiting.
Yeah, and anyway, in Delhi it's raining. There are no matches scheduled here.
Thank God for that.
Yeah.
So we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Leave us a comment, tap the bell icon so you know when we're live, all of that stuff, and of course follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
Thank you, bye bye, vanakkam.